this past weekend. And we got, let's go. Hello. It's Monday. It's Monday. You little Chinese bomb pops. It's hot as hell. And it's wet as hell still out there for a lot of people. So let's take you out of that for a little bit, huh? Come with me for a little bit. Come sit on Daddy's knee. Come sit on Daddy's dusty, ashy knee. And listen to the sounds of this old dirt snake. Come listen to the slither of this old dirt snake as I go just slipping through the dirt. Thank you guys for joining me. It's Monday, September 4th. It's Monday, September 4th. It's Labor Day. It's Labor Day. And we're here. We're here. We made it. We made it to another Monday. Congratulations to you. I spilled coffee all over this desk, so I got my elbows in coffee. You know, maybe I'll start to tan my skin. Maybe my skin will get a little bit tan. I'll be able to get a roll out here in Los Angeles. Tough time out here for a white guy. Tough time out here for a white guy. Good to be here this morning. Thank you guys for joining me. On this past weekend, what happened this past weekend? I'll tell you this, dude. What happened this past week is I was doing some manscaping last week. I had an audition. Going in to audition for a film, for a lead role. And I decided to do a little manscaping because I'm the kind of guy who I'm good. I'll be on task a little bit. And then I'll get to, I'll have 40 minutes to get where I'm going. I'll jump in the shower, be out in 7 minutes, but then I'll be standing there in front of the mirror. And instead of just getting ready, I'll see like, sometimes you see on your, either on your eyebrows or around your crotch, you see like a long hair, one of them long extraneous hairs, It's kind of like, if you've ever seen a picture of like a private school basketball team in like the 6th grade. It's all white kids, and then you have that one tall, long black kid that's on the team. And that's like that hair you will see. You'll see just that one one of these is not like the others, And not in color. I'm just talking about in length. And so I saw one of those. I was like, oh, I'm going to clip this thing up. Daddy gets a pair of organized sharp swords here, scissors. And I'm going to clip this thing down. I'm going to take control. I'm going to show this young follicle down here by my wiener and everything who's boss. And I clipped it, and I just kind of wasn't paying attention, I guess, enough. And I clipped a little bit, and it's going to sound vulgar, and it's not going to get any more graphic than this, but I clipped into my scrotum, into my scrot. And they do call it scrot, and I've played it in Scrabble before as scrot. And I clipped into my scrotum with these, little clippers, these scissors. And man, you don't think you have a lot. You kind of don't know what's in your scrotum. Let's be honest. A lot of times, people say, oh, my nuts, but there's a lot of stuff going on in there. If you really ever spend some time with your scrotum, and a lot of you guys probably don't. A lot of you guys are just running around, just kind of not 100% sure what's in your nut bag. I don't do that. I'm not like that. I know what's in my nutsack. You got them you got the kind of the veinage, a little bit of those kind of, feels like your nuts each are wearing these kind of soft kind of hats. You got some nut fat, some fat around your nuts, light kind of thing of fat around each nut. And you got some other stuff in there. I think you got the vas deferens, whatever those are. That could also be a British rock band. But anyway, you also have a good bit of you got some, some blood in there. And this thing started, it was pretty much leaking out. And I had to be at this audition. And I'm not going to get real graphic, and I'm sorry I have out of the gate, but I just have to tell you what happened. So I am alarmed. I put a napkin on it, hard press that napkin, and I got a chip clip. Those chip clips you use to close up a bag of chips. Sometimes you get some chips You get your hand in a bag of chips, you open a bag of chips, you don't want them all. You know? Now, some people open a big bag of chips, eat them all, and don't realize that they even have chip clips in the world, that chip clips exist. But if you're still doing that, I got to tell you something, that they have a chip clip. And that's for if you don't want to eat an entire big bag of chips, because you shouldn't. You know, those days are long gone, I feel like, health-wise. So I hit this chip clip, put it on, basically on my scrot with this napkin, and I hightailed it out to the audition, got into the audition, and I had to tell them right when I got there. I was running late, I'm sweating, I'm nervous. I had to tell them, you know, because first of all, I go in there, I'm worried that if any kind of red coloring starts to show up on my pants, you know, if I'm, you know, kind of having a little bit of, you know, I don't want to be graphic here, but if I'm having a little bit of some iron drip, if you will, because the blood has iron in it, if I'm, you know, sprinkling platelets out of my pants a little, that they are going to get scared, or they're going to think that I have a menstrual cycle, which is okay. I guess these days it's okay if a man has a menstrual cycle. I mean, hell, I know some real bitches out there. You know, I know some fellas that's really running around as some real bitches, especially out here in Los Angeles. You know, but I don't think to the point where they expect a man to just be surprising people with this, you know, a surprise menstrual cycle. So anyhow, I had the chip clip on, did the audition, and that was a hectic day. So then I was laid up. I was laid up for about 2 days, and I started getting depressed. And you know, when you can't be active, depression, that's when it finds you. You know, because depression is like a, it's kind of like it's a bit like I want to say a mosquito. Because mosquitoes, they kind of hang around, they mill around. But then when you don't expect it, that's when a mosquito come and get you. What is that? Oh, that's a mosquito. And that's when they come and get you, when you don't expect it. You know, what is that? Oh, that's a mosquito. Were you expecting it? No, I wasn't. You know, and that's when mosquitoes come get you. And that's how depression is, man. And if I lay around, I get too stagnant. That's when depression starts for me. And I started getting depressed, man. For a whole day, I laid in bed, you know, tending to my bag, you know, my nutsack, and making sure everything was, you know, cavalier down there. And it was alarming, man. That is an alarming time, because that's where your body is holding your future. Your next level, the next level of you, your reincarnate, is housed in that bag. So some people think you're walking around with your nuts. No, you're walking around with your family, with your son, with your daughter, twins maybe, or transgender person. All of that is in your nuts. I mean, it's striking to believe, but that's all in your nuts right now. I mean, it's crazy to think that right now, if your nuts make probably, and this is a fact, I think your nuts make 200 million sperm a day. You got to figure 6 million of those sperm are probably transgender. So everyone right now, every man running around has probably about 6 million transgender sperm right now between their legs. 6 million TGs right between their legs right now. So it's just kind of interesting to think about it that way. But yeah, man, I had to tend to myself. I had to put salve on them. I had a couple cans of good salve in there. And I just started putting that salve on, and then put some gauze, and I put a sock around my bag. And I just socked up my bag, and you had to take care of yourself like that. It was really old school, kind of. I had to take care of my body, you know, because that's my future. That's my future. But I'm wearing a golf shirt. I have on a golf shirt today. If you're on the YouTube, you can see it. I have a golf shirt on. I don't play a lot of golf. I think I could, though. I see men play it. You know, I see sometimes I've been invited to some of these fancier get-togethers where these fellas are out there doing golf. You know, and it's everybody dresses a little bit. It almost everybody dresses like they're adults that are going to maybe be looking for Easter eggs. You know, and everybody's like trying to be friendly and have beers and stuff, but also everybody's thinking about maybe banging each other's wives or making love to each other's wives. But it looks fun sometimes. I've played a few games. Almost killed a famous golf designer, a famous golf course designer one time. What was his name? Die? I thought his last name was Die. And that's not a joke. I thought his last name was actually Die. Anyhow, so I got a little depressed, man. I got depressed because I laid in bed. I started watching episodes of Disappeared. When I get depressed, I start to notice, what do I do? Because then I can tell if I'm depressed. Sometimes I can't even tell. So what do I do when I'm depressed? I watch shows about disappeared people. People that are missing. And Disappeared is a show where in the beginning somebody's missing, and at the end somebody's still missing. Knock, knock. Who's there? Not this person. Somebody's still missing. And that's and I guess there's something in that at least I know where I am, you know? At least I'm better off than this person that is missing. At least I know where I am, you know, and that makes me feel pretty good, I guess. You know, at least it's one thing at that low level of where I'm feeling makes me feel still kind of okay. So, what else, man? What else, dude? Yeah, I just had, I got a little bummed out. What else is going on in the news? North Korea. People talking about North Korea. Here's what I have to say about North Korea. First of all, bring it on. If you want some of it, we got some of it. Okay? Oh, what's this over here? This is some of it. And if you want some of it, we got some of it. Because here's the thing. We've already beaten you guys before. Okay, I can hit up about 720 senior citizen facilities. And I got about probably thousands and hundreds of thousands of senior men in there who would happily go round two. Okay, who were out there in the Korean War, who were out there getting dirty under Mr. Truman, who are not afraid to get back out in the sand. All right? I got about probably 725,000 senior citizens about ready to put guns on their walkers and sacrifice themselves and get out there and go at it one more time. So I'm sorry to get fired up, but I'm also tired of being scared about North Korea. North Korea is not going to do anything to America, or I don't think to anyone, because they have everything to lose. They're happy right now. They're North Korea. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're up there playing games, you know. I read an article one time that they were doing human whack-a-mole. That the big, the Pied Piper up there, Kim Jong-un, is doing he does human whack-a-mole. We had a whack-a-mole thing built. He'll have human Koreans dress up in mole outfits, scoot around, pop up out of the holes, and he hits them with a big deal, you know? A big mallet. Is that fucked up? Yeah, it is, dude. Is that also awesome as fuck? Yes, it is as well. Two things. You know? But I'm not scared of North Korea. I'm not scared of North Korea, dude. But I've had a week, man. I've had a weekend. You know, I'm going through some emotional stuff. You know, I had to meet up with the man this week in the park to talk with him. You know, I'm in therapy. Okay, I'll say it. I'm in therapy. I'm not ashamed about being in therapy. I'm trying to get to the bottom of my brain. Some of y'all sitting out here milling around the top of your brain like little brain babies. Well, guess what? I'm a brain daddy. I'm down in the bottom of my brain looking for myself. So, I met up with an old man in a park this weekend. You know? That's where I'm at. But good to be here. Happy Labor Day to you guys. We didn't come out with the Patreon. People ask about Patreon. We didn't come out with it last week. And I know I've told you that I would. But because of the donations in Houston, I just felt that it wasn't right. So we'll do it. We're going to try to get it up tonight or tomorrow. So it'll be out this week. And it'll be out when you want to go support Patreon and support this past weekend, because I'm going to get this podcast to better and better levels. We're building the studio. We're going to have guests soon. We're going to try some residencies with co-hosts, sidekicks. So we're open to new things. It's just it's a slow build. A lot of things were slow builds. You know, think about something that was a fast build. Where is it now? Probably in a fast build graveyard. Thank you. Let's hit the news. We did North Korea. Fuck them. Fuck North Korea, dude. I'll say that. I'm sure there's some good people over there. I'm not denying the people. But you know what I'm saying? When one team plays another team, I'm not thinking about the players. I'm thinking about the teams. And if they wanna talk shop, then welcome to Ace Hardware, baby. That's the shop I'm talking. Hardware. What else? A guy died in Burning Man. A guy died in Burning Man. A guy got high, was lifted up. You know what I'm saying? Cooking his own spirit grits on them drugs and on them dopes. And ran into a fire. And you know what? At first, I was like, fuck, only one guy? Because part of me is like, let's roast half the squad up there, you know? Half the squad of these freaking fake miracle Muppets out there on that dust looking for themselves. You want to find yourself, get out in your dirt and stay off the dust. And I'm sorry, I know I'm getting fired up this weekend, but I'm fired up, man. I'm fired up on this Monday. A guy died in Burning Man. They said he was on acid and MDMA, and he ran into the fire. And you know what, man? I've been on acid, okay? I did a bunch of acid one time and stole a bunch of boat radios and tried to install them into regular vehicles. Stupid plan. What else? Did some acid, cooked a pizza in a dryer one time. I used to know how long it took. It was a medium, that's all I remember. But it works, but it does take a while. Got naked in my friend's yard. His mom caught me out there honking my car horn to a song that was on the radio. So I've made some poor choices on acid, but this guy ran into a fire. But I'll say this, when you're on drugs, sometimes you do feel closer to a higher power. And maybe that's not a bad way to go. You know, a lot of times we have old people or young people or whoever that when they're dying, when they're heading to another realm, when they're hopping worlds, if they believe in a higher power, if they believe in a warp zone, you know, if they believe in heaven, then they're fired up, you know, they're going there. But why not have them be on drugs? If you're on drugs and you already are, you're going to be keyed up when you get there. Or do you think that the natural high of that experience of going to that another world is a high enough, and that maybe the drugs would be scary? I don't know. But heck, I could almost, you know, a couple hits of mush, you know, couple, you know, cans of, or however they serve them, cans of mushrooms and psychedelics, and a couple hits of acid. And I've had some bad experience with acid, and I'm not ashamed of my times. You know, I remember one time we did a bunch of acid with this girl, and some people locked her in a room and was dripping hot water on her. Warm water, not hot water, warm water. You know, it wasn't this violent thing. It was more like this sort of kind of Lord of the Flies-ish kind of romantic sort of Edgar Allan Poe, you know, just children being under dope. You know, children with their brains under the pressures and under the, you know, the tricky fixins of dope. You know, my buddy slid a hit of acid into a girl's vagina one time. Vagipping, they used to call it. And that's just tripping via vagina. When you know, lock a girl's vagina up with a hit of acid, and, you know, that way she'd kind of relax a little and party a little bit. You know, and see spirits with her eyeballs, you know? That way she could close her eyes and still be watching television, you know? Surfing her own brain channels. And sometimes that's a beauty about some of those drugs. But I wonder if the man could feel the fire. I wonder if he was so high on the drugs that did the pain. Well, you know, I just wonder how much did that change his receptors, what was coming in on that pain. You know, was he on the pain, were there surfers on those pain waves? Or was it just comfortable water? I'm just wondering how that came in on him. You know? And he's charred up. You know, they said he took him to the hospital. He almost lived. But maybe that's a thing, you know, high dying. Get somebody high as fuck and then pull the plug on them. I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes a new thing. You know? I can't believe that that cremation and burial are the only two options for when you die. What? Sounds like the worst restaurant ever. Only two ways to cook it? I want to be grilled, brother. Yeah, you heard about Alan? Yeah. They sauteed him. Yeah, they sauteed him over at Heavenly Pastures. I want to be all gratin. How about that? Oh, Daddy's showing up in the next realm with cheesy patates. That's how I want to die. stuffed. I want to be bacon stuffed. You show up at my funeral, boy, I got 6 hits of bacon flying out of my beak. Maybe a couple olives. Like, damn. Theo knows how to go to heaven with some flavor. Don't embalm me with damn embalming fluid. Throw something fancy inside of me. That Yoo-hoo, remember Yoo-hoo? Chocolate Soldier? Put a beverage inside of me. You know, something that means something. I'm just sick of, I'm just sick of these options. Let's expand our minds. I'm sick of these options, you can only go to heaven if you got, you can only go to heaven if you got embalming fluid or if you've been cremated. I don't want to be cremated. All right? Skewer. I want to be on a skewer with an apple in my mouth. Let's evolve, guys. We should evolve in all types of ways. So, just a lot on me, man. But I could just, I went to a funeral today. I guess to be honest with you guys, I went to a funeral. A friend of mine, and not like a best friend, but certainly a friend. Or a guy really, a friend. His father passed away, so I went to the funeral. And I wasn't sure at first if I should go. But then I was glad that I went. I think it's hard to know sometimes. And I've always had a tough time. I've had an awkward gauge in my own life, socially awkward, of knowing what things to show up at and for whom. Like I used to go to christenings for people I barely knew, when they had family christenings and stuff in their family. I remember being in the early 2000s, being in some people's family photos that I'd only met like one time at a bank, and then there I am, at the end of this picture when their baby's getting christened, and just some awkward shit like that. So you got to be careful, when you don't know events to show up at. But it was touching, man. It was touching to see people share their love and their feelings. My buddy talked about his dad, and it was a surprise. It was just, his dad wasn't well, but it was a surprise death. And honestly, like, it brought back feelings of my own when my own father had passed. And I know I'm not trying to get dour on you, but, it just brought back some feelings. Being young and just what it's like when somebody leaves. And I just know that I would have probably felt a lot more excited if I had known that my father was char-grilled or blackened, or caramelized, than to know that they just cooked him down and put him into an urn. And that. I also want to say, I don't like white supremacists. I do not like them. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I also do not like black supremacists. I do not like Asian supremacists. I do not like people that only play Street Fighter and no other game. Extremism. We got to shut it down. I've become kind of a little bit overwhelmed with how people just... I'm just sick of how everybody has to be right. Everybody, you can't... There's no other way. It's ridiculous to have to be right. You can't... Everybody cannot be right. Think about that. It's impossible. So why some people still think that that's realistic, that it's their way or the highway. Everybody's got to give. Everybody's got to fold. Everybody's got to show a couple of their cards, man. It's just beyond me. But I had quite a weekend, man. I had quite a week of, thinking about life, cutting into my own ball sack. A lot of men never go inside their own balls. Not this guy. A lot of men, don't want to be out at funerals. I went out there, showed up, did it. So what else, guys? What else can I tell you guys about right now? Still a lot of love out to the people in Houston. I know that's a tough thing going on. The NFL is back. I'm excited about that. Feminism, sorry, but once again, we're going to have to ask you ladies to step aside while we play fantasy football. I'm so excited about football, man. I'm so excited about it. I'm in 2 leagues. I got one more draft coming up. I'm excited. And people are like, what player is he going to get out? David Johnson, that's my go-to guy. And if I could have anybody else on any team, it would be Michael Thomas for the New Orleans Saints. But yeah, I guess it's just like a testy time, man. I've had a lot on my mind, a lot on my heart. And it's a crazy week. I've been in therapy. People are talking about global warming. It's so hot right now in LA that dude, people are sweating. This girl the other night, out of the blue, she's like, hey, touch my leg. Oh, sweating. Like that time I bought a bunch of that Canadian Viagra's. And all they did was make my legs and ankles sweat. Made my legs swell up. I don't think I got an erection, but geez Christ. My leg was just one long thigh from the toes to the hip. No knee, no ankle, just sweating. I mean, it was unbelievable. I think it just made you retain salt in your legs. Yeah. Just hot, man. Hot as hell. People talking about global warming. Scary. People think it's the end of the world. I think Mother Nature's gonna come and beat somebody's ass. I believe it. Mother Nature's gonna come and beat somebody's ass, and I hope she takes out a few of these news networks. That's what I hope, because these people are just ruining shit. My day would be a lot better if there weren't some news network in the distance yelling about how horrible everything is. But when I look around, people are doing okay. And it would just be nice sometimes if we could focus on the fact that we are doing well, that I got food in my mouth, and we can move onward. All right, let's take a couple of calls, man. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm headed to Austin this weekend. I will be at the Cap City Comedy Club. You can come and see me and love me or hate me. And that is this Wednesday through Saturday. And then the following weekend, September 14th through 17th, I'll be at Hilarities in Cleveland. And then I'll be at Stand Up Live in Huntsville, and that is November 16th through the 19th. Oh, and I got to tell you this, good news. The movie that I clipped my nuts and then went in an audition for, they offered me the part. So that's pretty exciting, But we'll see. We'll see. Sometimes those things, you never know what's going to happen in the universe out here. Things go to fruition. But, it just shows you, man, when you cut into your own balls, you still get out there and do your work. And happy Labor Day. Let me tell you about a couple jobs I've had. That's what I wanted to tell you guys. Hold the line 1 second. I got to plug in my computer. Hold on. Oh. All right, I'm back. I'm BACK. A couple of jobs that I had. I want to tell you about this. Happy Labor Day. I'll say that, and I want to tell you briefly about a couple of jobs that I had. So one of my earliest jobs was working at a pizza parlor called BJ's. And now everybody knows BJ's means blow jobs. But this place just meant BJ's. And they had some cards on there, and that meant blackjack. So I'm guessing that's what the B and the J stood for, blackjacks. And I was a pizza maker and cleaner, basically. Everything, bullshit work. I was the lowest guy on the totem pole, used to make pizzas. Now, one of the assistant managers was a born-again Christian. He was born and reborn and unborn and overborn, double born. I mean, just a little zygote for Christ by the end of it all. And this beautiful creature didn't know anything about pop culture, and he used to wear Garfield t-shirts all the time. And what we would do is me and this other dude who was on methamphetamines, and this other dude, my coworker, he would always have his pizzas rolled faster than me, right? He'd have his pizza done, in 2 seconds, And they'd be like, you need to, the manager would call me in the office. He's like, you need to do your pizza as fast as this guy. And I'm like, well, this guy is on drugs. And the money you're paying me, I can't afford the drugs that he's on. So unless you raise my pay, I'm not going to be able to do drugs and compete and be competitive here in the pizza workplace. So, and this dude, like I would barely have my dough rolled out, and he would have his folded into like a swan. Like this dude was damn, Vincent Van Gogh on that yeast, on that flowering yeast. But it was captivating to be in that environment, and I liked this job. It was probably my first job in a real business. And this is post-hamps. This is after I sold hamsters and guinea pigs. And this is after I cleaned out wishing wells. And this is after I broke into a man's house and just stole stuff from him one time. And it's not really a job, but you do end up with, some money and some goods, and you don't, and so it's kind of like a job. But anyhow, so we would make up fake pizza orders for this born-again Christian assistant manager on Sunday. And we would have orders for like Danny Glover. And he would take them out into the middle. He would take the orders out there, 5 or 6 pizzas for Danny Glover out on Old Man River, Old Military Road or something. He would go out there, take the pizzas, come back an hour later. And there was no wrong address, no Danny Glover. And then we would eat the pizzas. And while he was gone, we would drink. And we would deep fry everything in the deep fryer and eat it. And that was a really good time. That was one of the best times that I had over there doing that kind of work. I also used to work at a insurance company where my job was to send documents. My job was to send paper products to other insurance companies. We ran a supply room that supplied other smaller insurance companies with documents they needed to carry out business and big business. So I would mail out these documents. Well, one time I went in there on a bunch of mushrooms and I actually dated one of the lady's daughters that worked in there, beautiful lady named Miss Trudy. And I used to date her daughter, sweet gal. And one time I ate a bunch of mushrooms in there, took my clothes off in the mailroom, dude, and they had a door so I could be in there by myself. I'm in there mailing, putting stickers on stuff, writing addresses, stamps, doing mail. What's this? Mail. Where's that go? Oh, in the mail. Handling business, mail business. And the thing that happened was this. I got geeked out on some mushrooms and mailed all of my clothing to one of the smaller insurance companies. So then I'm in this mailroom, had to literally make myself some clothes. Even though I just could have opened this box, it was coming up on time when the mail had to be due, so I was embarrassed. Like, if I open this box, it's gonna look, they're gonna come in here and they're gonna be like, what the hell's going on? So I made myself a clothing out of paper. Made myself some paper, basically a skirt, and not a shirt, but kind of like a shirt. And then I've got all the mail products ready, waited for the mail dude to come, signed them off to him, mailed my clothes to some insurance company, never saw him again. And then I lost my job probably about 6 weeks later. But yeah, it's Labor Day, and we've all had some type of laborious time, and that's something I want you to call in and hit the hotline for next week, is hit the hotline and let me know about a job that you had, man. Let me know about something that on this past Labor Day that you were celebrating not working anymore. One other job I had, I'll tell you real quick, I used to work on this farm, and I had to get, every year they would cut the grain, the corn, they would cut the corn and some of these things that they would store it in over the winter, the snakes would get in there and hide in there because it was kind of warm. It was out of the elements. So then at the beginning of the new farming season, I had to get in there and clean these things out and get the snakes out. And there were snakes and rats. And dude, imagine somebody just put you in the middle of a big, long metal container and said, all right, I'll be back in a few hours. There are rats and there are snakes in here and you need to get them out. And people like Game of Thrones, well, I mean, this was violent, dude. And you'd be in there with a shovel, or sometimes I'd take the wrong tool in there. One time I was in there with a pickaxe all day fighting these animals, right? Well, guess what? Put a couple of holes in the bottom of this big holder. So, I mean, definitely cost those guys probably most of the money I made that year by using a pickaxe to try and battle mice and snakes. So yeah, some poor choices in my work days, but you know what? That's God's plan for me. That's what I'm going to say. What else? All right, let's get to some calls, man. Let's take a few calls right here. I appreciate you guys for hitting the hotline. You know, it's good stuff, and I'm happy that you guys are hitting it. The number is 985-664-9503. Let's take this call right here.
Ooh, Theo Vaughn.
Yep.
Finally got you on the hotline here. I'm calling down here from Nashville, Tennessee.
Ooh, Nashville. Beautiful. Thank you for calling, buddy.
There's a tornado warning out right now. The weather's looking kind of rough. But, you know, the weather's kind of bad down there in Houston town. We're praying for all them people down there as well. So I just want to let you know you want to raise some money for this disaster. Well, I'm here to tell you, buddy, next time you're in Nashville, Tennessee, or I heard you're going to be in Huntsville.
I will be in Huntsville, dude. And I hope this dude isn't a pedophile because I am an adult. So I hope you don't think I'm a child because I'm off his books just at my age alone. Onward, buddy.
You, me, on the basketball court, one-on-one. And I guarantee I will whip your ass in that basketball game.
Oh, you and me one-on-one. This guy sounds like Matthew McConaughey homeless, doesn't he? You and me one-on-one on the basketball court. Okay, I could do this maybe. We have to think about what the wage is. And I guess the money will make it a proceed that goes to some charity down there. Onward?
You can film it. You can put it on Periscope, Facebook, all that bullshit. Raise some money for it. We'll raise a little money.
Okay. All right, man. I accept that challenge. Whenever I come down to Huntsville, we'll get into that. I appreciate that, man. That's good thinking. And a lot of people are doing great things. I mean, I spoke to a buddy of mine in Houston the other day, and he said that that he was going back to work, and people in his area were going back to work. That locally that he was unable to even go volunteer when he and his friends had went and signed up because all the shifts were full. That they weren't accepting any more water, they weren't accepting any more diapers. And I know that was just the other day, but it's just amazing to see how people are helping out. And I think that's one thing that's nice to see in the wake of all of this. You know, that human beings, when they get a chance to be human, they're choosing to do that. And that's not something that happens on the internet. You know, that's not something that's social media. You know, there's some stuff out there. Yes, they're running the charities through social media and stuff like that. But the hand-on-hand help, you know, the heart-to-heart help, that's happening in the streets. And that's what's amazing to see. And that's what humanity is. You know, we've just become these online creatures where we're not human online. You know why? Because we're not. Because you're not even a human then. You're electronic. There's something else going on. But it's amazing to see that when humans get a chance to be human, especially in a city that is diverse like Houston. Houston's got some diversity. That people are helping each other out and people are working together. You know, and it's great to see it happen in Texas too. A state where people, you know, are always like, oh, Texas, you know, they're gun-toting, you know, Republican, and they get this bad rap, I feel like, from a lot of people. Well, guess what? Texas is showing America just how good people can be. And I know there's a few bad eggs down there, but you know what? Overall, you know, people aren't pulling up to each other when they're drowning in these waters and asking them who they voted for. You know, and then you still have these reporters that show up down there and like, well, are you happy with how Trump, do you think, get that shit out of here. You know, why go down and just make misery? I don't understand it. I will never understand it. Oh, if the aliens come here, dude, and they're trying to fuck everybody, I hope they start with half of these news networks. Or most of them, man. It's just... we're better than that. We're better than they make us out to be. But I'll take that challenge, brother. We'll do something. Hit me up on social media or hit the hotline. Again, let me know a little bit more information, and we'll throw it down there, dude. Me versus Matthew McConaughey. I don't know what to call him, but he got that wild lisp, dude. He got that crack daddy lisp, and I love it. And you know, and I'll even watch you smoke a little bit, a couple grams if you're trying to ball out after the game, dude, to celebrate your loss. We'll raise a little money. All right, let's get to some calls, man. Let's take a few calls right here.
What's up, Theo? This is Melissa. I love the show. I've been watching you since the MTV days.
Hey, Melissa. Thank you for calling.
My question is, well, it's a problem. I'm antisocial, judgmental of people. As soon as I meet them, I start picking them apart in my head, and I don't like anything about them. This would normally not be much of a problem, but I'm a blogger, so...
Okay, so she's a blogger and she's judgmental. Sounds like you should have a job then. That's what's onward.
I need to be social for my career. I do TV spots sometimes, and you could tell when you see me on there how much I just despise everybody around me. The only people I seem to like are like old ladies and comedians, and neither of those are in my target audience, so I was hoping you can give me some advice on how to get past that and be a little more social and interested, actually, in meeting people and talking to them.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you calling. I try to be curious. That's what I try to do when I get really judgmental. And look, we're all judgmental. And I'm stereotypical. And sometimes I was talking to a buddy the other night. He's telling me not to be so stereotypical. But I'm like, I think that's a survival skill. You know, at a certain point, you got to make some choices. You got to group people together. You know, and every now and then somebody will surprise you. But sometimes, you know, I feel like 8 out of 10 times people won't. You know? So I get stereotypical, but I think we all battle with it, being judgmental. It's so easy. It's natural. I think it's natural for us to be that way. But how to get out of it, I say try and be curious. Instead of like, fuck, listen, like sometimes I'll be listening to somebody and my brain will start to be like, man, I've heard this a million times. Why am I even listening to this fucking person? But instead, I'll try and just be like, well, maybe this person will say something different. Maybe this will be different this time. Or maybe this person needs me to listen to them. You know, I think about trying to listen. I think about trying to be curious instead of being judgmental. Be curious. If you just stay curious, like, oh, well, I wonder what they're going to say. Maybe they'll tell me where there's a buried treasure, you know. Maybe they'll tell me that they have a rare species of bats. Or maybe they'll tell me that they, you know, that they are having babies and never had sex. You know, maybe somebody will have a secret for you. So that's what I say. Just try and stay curious, and that sometimes can get you out of that judgment. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially because sometimes we just think we're better. We think we know it all, you know. But good luck. Good luck with it. You know, I think you can beat it. It's obviously you're aware of it, and that's really the first step. You know, so just try and stay curious. I think that'll help you stay interested. And good luck with your job. You sound like fuck, I'd read something you wrote, I think. You know, I mean, I can't really think about your writing through your talking, but shit, if you just did some dang graffiti. I used to read graffiti, you know, and some of it was pretty damn educational. A lot of it was just about people, you know, fucking mostly. Anyhow, onward.
Yo, what's up, Theo? This is Brian from Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, Brian. Let's go.
I have a question for you. I really need some advice. Do you ever talk shit on someone and texted it to that person when it was meant to go to another person? Basically, I talked shit on my stepmom, and I meant to send it to my brother, but it went to my stepmom, and she got really pissed.
Wow. Oh! Dude, I feel for you right when you say that, Brian. He talked shit on his stepmom. Instead of texting it to his brother, he texted it to his stepmom. Oh, and that's such a crucial position, too, because, oh, you got to see here. It's just, man, that's heavy, bro. Have I ever done that? I'll tell you really quickly. Yes, I have. I met a girl who was like my dream girl, you know. And, I mean, of course, I fantasized that. I romanticized it. I didn't even know her. But I wanted to know her. And I started, like, putting it out there like, oh, I want to know her, I want to know her, I want to know her. And I'd see her a few weeks in a row, and I finally got her phone number. Well, that same day, some, like, skis had hit me up, I think on Snapchat, and was sending me, like, nudes and stuff, you know, or something, or saying saying naughty stuff to me. So I gave that girl on Snapchat my number, you know. I mean, there's no lie that I suffer from, you know, temptation and getting caught up in pornography and some of the DAs, baby, the dark arts. So I gave that girl my number. Well, then I also that same day got the number of the girl that I really thought was a special chick. So later that night, and right whenever I got the special girl's number, I texted her and I said, hey, it's Theo. And she didn't text me back immediately or anything. That's fine. Well, later that night, I get a text, and it says, I'm going to put you in my phone. That's what the text said, right? And I thought it was from this girl on Snapchat, this straight, you know, snap skeezy that I'd just given my number to. So I wrote back like, oh, well, you can put me anywhere you want, right? So then the girl writes back, oh, really? This is interesting. Tell me more, right? And so I start just turning into a straight pervert. Well, about two texts later from each of us, I realized that this is the girl that I had met that I really liked, and that I had texted her she had just written back to me, a few hours later, I'm going to put you in my phone. And I just didn't correlate it in my mind. I was just maybe perved out or something. I don't know. And man, that hurt so much, because now I'm like already such a creep to this girl that I just met that I really liked. But it ended up working out where I got to, I started to get to know that girl, and she gave me a second chance. So that was really beautiful. But let's hear the rest of your story. I'm sorry for rambling.
And to make matters worse, it was my birthday, and I said maybe I should go. They said no, and I opened my birthday presents in silence. And I also ate the birthday cake in silence, total silence. So now my dad is saying it's going to take some time. And I don't know really where to go from here. So if you have any advice, should I contact him first?
Well, I appreciate you reaching out, man. I just appreciate you sharing this story, man. This is a real story, and I love it. And I can feel your layers of pain there, because you're probably upset. And we say things when we're upset that, we exaggerate. And your stepmom read this stuff, and she's already an uphill battle as a stepmom, and she's probably not that bad of a stepmom. I have no idea, but step parenting seems like straight hell. I mean, step parenting is basically just an invite to probably be sued by a kid. And here she is working her butt, whatever. But obviously they gave you gifts, and they gave you this cake, and you're sitting there in silence, bro. Dude, that silent cake. You was eating that silent cake. And what's that thing where they say you have to eat your, what's it? It's like an old saying. You got to eat your thumb. You got to eat your, I don't know what it is, dude. But I got no advice, man. Your dad's right. It's going to take time. You got busted, dude. You got busted being a straight, regular person. And sometimes we get busted being a regular person, man. Just being human. That's what you got busted being. You got busted being honest. You got busted being human. Now, if there's some real stuff behind some of those texts you sent, now this might be a good opportunity to address some of those things with her. But outside of that, if you're just like, damn, Martha's got the saggiest tits in town, then that shit ain't gonna play well, dog. Wow, I can just picture somebody sitting there eating that silent cake, just hearing their mouth hit it. And it probably, you couldn't even enjoy it because of how much you had ruined Martha's day, or whatever her name is, Margaret. Or not, you didn't even tell me her name. It could be a Nadia. She could be Spanish. But wow, bro. Look, dude, things are happening, man. It could be global warming. Maybe that's why you're screwing up like that and texting the wrong people. But we've all been there. We've all been there, and happy Labor Day to you, dude, because that sounds like a real labor of love right there. And that's maybe something that everybody's going through, is some of these labors of love, I think that's something that everybody's having to deal with here and there. It's just, it's hard. Being in love is hard. Staying in love is hard. Figuring it out. Fighting to stay in love. Fighting to keep these relationships. To not fuck it up. To keep communication open. This shit is hell, dude. And the skies are opening up, dude. And Mother Nature is about to bust nuts. That's what I'm thinking. But well, you know what, dude? What the hell do I know? I'll tell you this last thing about Labor Day, and then I'm going to get out of here. I got a set at the Comedy Store in 21 minutes. But I'll tell you this, man. When I got laid off from that pizza joint, here's how I got laid off. So they had me and this other dude. They had another guy that worked up there that was mentally challenged. And he was, I don't know what he had. He had something that they don't even have anymore. I don't even know what it was. And he was also, his parents were, both of them were kind of like wiggers, And I use the term wigger. I don't mean it in a racially offensive way. But you know what I'm talking about. They were wiggers. And his parents would dress him up, would wigger him up. They had his ears pierced, and they had him in all these Detroit Pistons shit. And he was mentally challenged. And I've always had a special spot in my heart for the mentally challenged, because I've always felt a little bit mentally challenged, at my core, or that I just beat it. You know, I've always felt that I just beat a couple of diseases, you know, or a couple of mental challenges. Just beat them, you know. I didn't get first place. I didn't get the blue ribbon and get them, but I got second place, runner-up to a lot of mental challenges. But anyhow, me and him would do these contests where we would put our head under the dishwater for as long as we could. And the dishwater was dirty, and you'd hold your head down there for as long as you could to try and be the champ. And the champ was whoever held their head under the dishwater the longest. So I remember putting my head under that dishwater one time, and he'd just done about, I think, 28 seconds. And I would let him cheat a little bit because the guy is mentally challenged. You know, I don't even know if he could swim. I don't even know what his aquatic skills are. You know, as an adult or a man. I don't even know how old he was. He could have been anywhere from 16 to probably 28. He had a mustache, and then he had like another mustache kind of on one of his cheeks. He was, you know, a lot of his growth and everything was awry. Wasn't natural patterns. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't showing a lot of natural hair patterns. But anyhow, so I put my head under that dishwater, dude, and I'm down there, bro. And you could feel the oil. Like, a lot of times you'd come up and you'd have a ring of that dirty dishwater, that oil and the grease from it, from the pizza pans, would just be around your neck, you know. And a lot of times we would do this when the boss was next door at the pool hall drinking. So I have my head down there, and I'm just catching time, brother. I mean, I'm putting in time, baby, you know. Like, I'm just, you know, I'm doing a couple life sentences under this water. And I think I'm up near a minute, and I pull my head out, and I'm just like, I'm the champ, you know. And the boss was right there, and he fired me. So, you know, I guess I don't even know what the moral of the story is, and I don't think it matters. But bottom line is, sometimes the champ gets fired. Sometimes the champ gets caught, you know. Sometimes you're the champ, and you get busted. And that's what's happening to people. That's what's happening to this dude getting busted texting his mother, you know. That's what's happening to the gal that's judgmental. She's thinking she's the champ. But now she's realizing that she's coming in second place because she's being so judgmental. That's what's going to happen to this dude that wants to challenge me on that basketball court for the charity hustle. He's going to be second place. You know, he's going to realize that he got beat by someone who barely beat Down syndrome and other diseases and probably some other popular afflictions, the autism and all of that. You know, you got people wanting to be the champ and coming in second place. You got a man that ran right into a fire out there at Burning Man. Ran right into a fire trying to be the champ. And now he came in second place. But I bet, hopefully he went to heaven, you know. And hopefully at his funeral they'll fill him with bacon. And they'll put some julienne potatoes around his body in that casket. You know, maybe some guacamole and some chips, something to fine-tune him. Something to help us snack while he's on his way up to heaven, you know, while we celebrate his life. So hit the hotline if you got some things going on. This has been a Labor Day episode, kind of a calm episode, but I appreciate the support so much. We hit our highest listening totals last week, and I haven't really felt like this last week and this week have even been my favorite episodes. You know, but I'm just trying to be a part of what's going on. I'm trying to show up for you guys. And I'm open to great ideas. We're going to keep evolving here. We're going to have the Patreon up this week where you can be a part of it. And we're just going to keep celebrating and living, man. We're going to learn as we go. I want to thank Spencer Jacob Grau, who came out, who wrote this song, and who plays this song, and who donates this song to our show. And you can catch his music online. The link is on the YouTube page. You can see the new set on the YouTube page as well. And thank you for supporting this past weekend. I love you. Y'all made me feel better, man. I was feeling horrible at the beginning of this, man. Not horrible, but just get frustrated, man. You know, when you cut in your own balls, you start questioning yourself. We're gonna die. We did it. Let's have some fun while we all die. We did it, man. Y'all be good to yourselves, man. I bet you guys deserve it. I'll see you in Austin, Texas this weekend. If you got friends that live there in Austin, tell them to come on out. And if somebody's destitute or having some tough times, let them know. I'm happy to get them some tickets. If you have friends that are that have been displaced because of Houston that are going to be in Austin this weekend that could use a night of laughter, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up, email me at theovon@mac.com, and let me see what I can do to try and help out. I can't promise everybody, but a couple of people I can probably help out. So you guys be good, huh? Let's keep this shit up, baby. I love you. Fucking North Korea boy about to get that ass whooped. I'll see you guys in heaven, all right?